The job market can be really frustrating. You need experience to get a job, but you need a job to get experience. And this is a conundrum that a lot of us millennials or Gen Z are facing these days. Young people don't have experience. And it means we have to make some tough decisions in some places. And yeah, in this piece, I have a couple of tips how to build up skills, how to gain experience without having that job first. Hey folks, my name is Jesper and I'm a scientist for machine learning and I have a PhD in applied machine learning. And today I want to talk about job experience. Job seekers are looking for the perfect advice and there kinda isn't one. Sorry? Like, the job market is really hot at the moment. There are a lot of jobs that you can get. And I'm not just talking restaurant jobs that don't pay a living wage, right? But the problem is there are the people that got laid off during the pandemic and they had time to educate, and you are recent graduates and everything is just a mix of a lot of competition, and a lot of people are also looking just to change companies like I just recently did, because that's how you get better salaries in this kind of economy apparently, and better conditions and a better company. And yeah, you are in for big competition and everyone's frustrated. Not just the graduates, not just the job seekers, not just the people that got laid off, but even companies and recruiters. Like, I'm not too much empathy obviously, but they're looking for the best candidates and they can't get the best candidates because the best candidates are getting burned out from this kind of job seeking, because writing hundreds and hundreds of applications on top of your normal job, and then some of these interview processes in tech companies, like Amazon had me interview like the normal, you apply and then you have a telephone screening and then you have an informal chat and then you have a full day of interviews, like 7 one-hour interviews and a lunch break in the middle. It is more than exhausting, especially for neurodiverse people. I don't know if they even hire neurodiverse people, because I don't know anyone that is remotely neurodiverse that can sit through this amount of interviews and social interaction without a break. So yeah, like, it's a bad situation for everyone. Job experience is essentially just a list of the jobs that you held, the skills that you acquired during those jobs, and the accomplishments that you made. First of all, you need the skills and experience that your employer or potential employer is asking for. And be very certain here, you only need to fit a percentage of this. Never apply for a job where you fill all the bullet points, because that means you're overqualified. But then you have to have some stories and some anecdotes about how you gained that experience, because that makes it relatable in an interview, and that makes the employer and the recruiter that is talking to you really feel that you know what you're talking about. Then you need to demonstrate that you have these skills, so maybe in a coding interview in data science, something like that. So you actually need to be able to show those skills, and you need to be able to communicate those skills, so explain how you can bring value to your future employer. I'm sorry to say this, but the more interview experience you get, the better you get at interviewing as well. So in the beginning you may be awkward and you may flunk some of these, but you will get better through time and you will hone your skills in interviewing. And yeah, there's a light at the end of the interview tunnel. The importance of job experience seems to be a bit blurred between the generations. Some people seem to think that you can just get a job without job experience. You go into the job, you demand to speak to the HR manager. With a firm handshake, you say hello, and then you get hired because you have your printout CV or whatever. The last time I printed a CV, I was probably 18 or something, and I was still living at home. And it certainly doesn't work these days. So really, following that advice is probably a bad idea, and you can probably discard anything that someone says in that vein, because these days job hiring is very different, and unfortunately job experience or some kind of experience, as we learn here, is inevitable. This is not something that can be done in a day. It takes a lot of time and it takes a lot of work to get right, but it is worth it if you want to join the field that you aspire to. However, I'll tell you, one of the most important things you can do is create an online presence. So have a website, have a blog, maybe social media presences, anything that can help you stand out from the crowd. You've probably heard the old saying that it's not about what you know, it's who you know. And that may be partially true, but it's often about who knows you. So you can have people advocate for you in a room that you're not in, because they already know your work, and an online presence can actually help you land that dream job if, well, people find it, and that without you having prior job experience. These days, an online presence can be as simple as a LinkedIn profile or a personal blog. So how can you get a foot in the door with a seemingly non-existent resume? Well, it's by branding yourself online and by networking online, by writing interesting and insightful content and really showing what you can do, even without sometimes degrees or the necessary job experience. Twitter and LinkedIn are entirely free, and if you're careful about curating your experience, you can actually have a fairly positive experience there. One of the main stakes in that is that you avoid busy work and you really try to be a positive force in your community. Writing has been around for thousands of years. It's one of the oldest forms of communication that we have, and it's one of the best forms of communication, for example on your blog or something, to build your online resume. You can basically even get a job out of school or before you finish school by having this kind of really high quality writing online. A blog really is an option for you to show off your best work and to prove to a prospective employer or maybe a client, if you go the freelancing route, that you do have the necessary skills and how you think about problems, how you feel certain ways, and really get your point across that you are the right person for the kind of job that they are looking to fill. In the beginning, it's probably easiest to use a blogging platform like Medium or dev.to and get started there, because it's much easier to get an audience, so people actually read and discover what you're writing, because, well, your own website can be a bit hidden in the internet, unfortunately. But later on, if you have a bit of a name for yourself, you do want to change to a professional presence that you can control, because Medium might change their policies that you don't agree with, and suddenly all your audience is only there. So you really want to be able to maybe use WordPress or something like I use the static site generator Nicola, where you can generate your blog on your own web space. If you're out of work or you're looking to change careers, then volunteering can be a great way to gain experience. Many people don't realize this, but it is a really altruistic way and a good way to gain the experience you need to get your first job or your next job. For example, if you're a graphic designer or you want to get into that field, then you can look at local animal shelters. They might need help with redesigning their brochures to get more animals in loving hands. And really, there are a lot of other ways as well. You can always list volunteer experience on your resume. So if you have that type of experience, like if you've done some tutoring or if you have worked with charity drives, then that can be a valuable addition to your resume if you need a little bit of a stocking stuffer. In the field of machine learning and data science, you have a lot of AI for good initiatives, and it is really beneficial to reach out to them and have a look if you can help in any capacity. This can go from education, like the one that I'm involved in, Humble Data, where we teach Python, to historically underrepresented minorities, but also goes to climate change, where you have satellite data that you can analyze, and of course in medical and social justice. And these can give you really, really good skills because you're working with real world data and with real people. And in addition, you might pick up some very valuable ethics knowledge. If you want to get your foot in the door and get all the benefits of a job, but no one's hiring really, you can take the first step up, which is an internship. Of course, that still needs you to apply and you need to be accepted, but it is a great opportunity. Why? Not only does an internship give you job experience that you can leverage into getting a job, you also get insights into the career that you're trying to enter. Also, let's have a look at more reasons for paid or unpaid internships. It can help you discover the career you want. Sometimes it can be a bit rough because finding the right career takes time. So you can try out different roles and really see what fits. So work placements are exceptional for this because you're not bound to a full-time role yet. And you can also try out different companies because company cultures vary so much, and it can be really important for you to find the right fit for your kind of personality in this kind of industry. And you can also take it as an opportunity to explore careers you didn't know existed. I didn't know machine learning was a thing until I started my PhD, and then I really got into it, and I'm really happy where I am now, and as a kid I would have never known this was even an option. Now let me caveat here, because I don't think unpaid internships are a good thing. I think they're exploitative and I've personally rejected them. But in Germany we have a saying which is, if necessary, the devil eats flies. So as early career professionals, we are often expected to do free work. That can be in the projects that I described, but also internships where you directly benefit a company from your work, hopefully. And yeah, basically you have to do a cost-benefit analysis, and I'm aware that it takes a certain type of privilege to be able to accept a full-time unpaid position, and I don't think it's fair, and it doesn't benefit diversity either. However, it is an option sometimes. I have done multiple internships and they were all paid, and oftentimes you can talk to the people what kind of compensation there is. Maybe they can put you up in a place to stay and give you some kind of, well, basically lunch money, so you're not out of pocket for working somewhere. Consider it. But yeah, maybe you can find an alternative to an unpaid opportunity. Experienced managers will often tell interns that the best thing about working at a job is that you learn something that you never thought you'd do. And that's true. That's true in most cases. But sometimes you work at a company and, well, they don't have projects that bring you closer to your goal of venturing into that new field, or maybe even moving to a different one. So there you really have to be creative, because out of that situation, nothing good will come. And this is where freelance work comes in. At the end of the week and you're running low on funds, it's very clear that working for free is not the right way for you to get a foot in the door. So you really have to take the initiative and start your own project. This time is the best time to do this kind of thing. There are websites like Fiverr or Upwork, which are marketplaces for freelancers. And really, you can invite people you know, your friends or professional contacts to, well, basically pay you to hone your skills. This is one way to really improve your resume and your cover letter while also making an income. It may not be a lot in the beginning, but you can quickly scale it up and learn on the job. The current job market for machine learning engineers is really, really competitive because these jobs are in high demand. You will, in addition, rarely find a company that is willing to hire inexperienced engineers, and that really aggravates the situation. However, one way to get around this is to enter into machine learning competitions to gain experience. These competitions are often hosted by prestigious universities or companies. For example, the website Kaggle, which is owned by Google, often hosts machine learning competitions where you're expected to solve a very specific kind of problem using data science and machine learning algorithms. Kaggle gets criticized for various reasons. You get a very clean data set, you get a pre-decided loss function, and everything is already split and made for you. You're only supposed to find the golden features and kind of solve the challenge. It's still hard, don't get me wrong, but it doesn't really represent real-world data science or machine learning work. So definitely those are valid criticisms. However, I see it a little bit like LeetCode or HackerRank, where software engineers solve predetermined problems and are honing their skills in data structures and algorithms and other approaches to get better at what they do. And you definitely learn some engineering skills that will help you in your future job, and that way you can really leverage that into job experience. And should you be lucky enough to also win a challenge, that is something that you can definitely show off and put in the right light on your resume. Be aware that if you're in the Kaggle environment, then it seems very self-explanatory what you're doing and what you're learning there. But outside, you often have to explain what you actually have in transferable skills to the kind of job you're interviewing for. I remember one professor on LinkedIn was talking about how easy it is to become a grandmaster on Kaggle because he read the rules of what it takes to become numerically a grandmaster. So he said that he's gonna require for every one of his students to at least become master level at the end of a semester. And a lot of grandmasters, and like I'm not a grandmaster, but me included, I was in the comments and I'm like, no, please don't do this. Like, try it yourself first. Become a grandmaster in a year. We'll talk in a year, and that didn't happen, obviously, because competing at such a high level takes an extreme amount of skill and a little bit of luck. It's competing at the highest level of these kind of competitions, and yeah. You will have to explain to people what it actually takes and what you took away from it. We've all seen it. Entry-level jobs with some kind of requirement for 3 to 5 years of experience, which is laughable, let's be honest. And yeah, it's no secret that a lot of job seekers will apply to this kind of job and will not get it. So how do we actually get ahead? How do we stick out from the crowd and, well, get that interview? First of all, you'll want to read the description very closely. Pay attention to keywords because ATS systems will often filter for keywords. So maybe use a highlighter or something like that in your PDF, or if you are a printing kind of person, use like a manual highlighter. And yeah, go to work on that job description. Then write a cover letter. Write a cover letter that is specific to these kind of points and actually just mentions the points that are in that job description one-to-one. If it says JavaScript, you have to have JavaScript in your cover letter or in your resume. And if it says jQuery, then it shouldn't just say JavaScript, it should reference jQuery. It's also for recruiters. A lot of technical recruiters don't really know where the difference lies, so it's very important to hit the keywords. Then you write your resume, and a lot of people recommend that you tailor your resume, at least in part, to the kind of job description, so you hit the key points, and then you can use the cover letter to explain how you have the necessary skills that they're asking for, even if you don't have the formal experience on your resume. So really use them in conjunction to be able to explain away kind of small faults in your resume. Transferable skills are particularly useful here, and a cover letter is really your chance to sell yourself. And I hate them, but they get you jobs. At ECMWF, I put a lot of effort into writing a really good cover letter and some of the skill fields, and yeah, here I am. Now I have a job. It is really hard to score a job these days. It took me hundreds of applications because there are hundreds of people applying to entry-level positions. So it counts for you to stand out from the crowd and sell yourself to a hiring manager. With these tips, from freelancing to volunteering to internships and networking, you are really improving your chances of scoring that first job out of college and yeah, without that job experience. So really try and improve your position in the job market, and with these tips you will be able to finally score that job that you always wanted. You're probably best off ignoring boomer advice and get a bit creative, because the job market has changed significantly and we live in a new reality, but you can make your way through, and with this advice I'm sure you too can score your first data science job.